is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is. He's locked and loaded, ready to go. How
always,
you feeling,
baby,
baby?
always.
You good?
It's always a nice morning. Waking up to 75 degrees in Miami. I've said this many times before. I'll say it many times again. That this is paradise to wake up to. It's impossible to have a bad day.
That's true. That's true. But if you want, we'll ship your ass right back to Indianapolis so you can freeze. You want?
I'm good. It's funny, and I think this is a sign of my growth and my maturity, is that I left the combine maybe a day before most people did. I left on Thursday. I think a lot of people left on Friday or Saturday. And I'm thinking like, man, I'm going to get FOMO sitting in my place, like while everybody's out doing X, Y, Z, and I'm seeing this group text and that group text. Man, not an ounce of it. I grabbed my dog. I saw him on the couch. I turned on Snowfall. I caught up on all my shows for the week, watched a little Dexter, cracked a beer open and relaxed, went to sleep at a decent time, man. I was like, okay, never mind. I'm good now. I'm grown. I'm ready to be. I turned 30. I will turn 30 in August. I'm ready for that, man. I think I've reached that pinnacle now where I can, I don't have to go out just for the sake of going out anymore. It's just a wonderful realization.
What I would give to turn the clock back 25 years to go to 30. That would be really, really, really nice overall. All right, so at the Combine, first of all, coming out of the Combine, Drew Rosenhaus said yesterday that he doesn't feel Emmanuel Ogbah is going to get tagged, and it looks like he's going to hit free agency. It seems like Rosenhaus probably gave him a pretty high number, and they weren't willing to meet that number. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, a franchise tag for a defensive end is a nightmare scenario, so that's not surprising. We've heard now from McDaniel and from Grisgria that they want Ogbah back. I would assume that means on a long-term deal. He's still very much in the prime of his career. He's had his most productive seasons in Miami over the past 2 years, one of the most effective defensive linemen at the line of scrimmage in the NFL, arguably the most disruptive defensive lineman in terms of sacks, batted balls, QB hurries, all the above. But yeah, no, I think the franchise tag would be I think it would be an inefficient use of funds in this case. So that's not surprising. He's rep by Rosenhaus, man. Like, you knew the big figure was coming.
Explain to people that when you tag them, the hard cap number affects you a lot more than a regular contract. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, what's understood doesn't have to be explained. But yes, like it affects you a little bit more. And also that figure goes up the next year. Like, you can't just keep tagging people. It's like a Band-Aid on a dam, more or less. Like, it's way more efficient to just.
What is it like? Is it like 10% or 15% if you tag them again or something like that?
I think it is closer to 10%. Either way, so it would go from, and I'm throwing figures out, 20 to 24, like 18 to 23. It's just not. It's way easier. Just pay him his 16, 17 a year, whatever the hell he wants over 3 years. I spoke with agents this week who don't like doing the 2-year deal. They think it's a bad move for their clients, and I tend to agree. But he's done too much to warrant a 1-year deal. I would say somewhere in the range of 3 years, AAV of about 17.5. If you're getting 9 sacks a year,
Marcel, his problem is he's screwed because after his rookie deal, normally you get that big fat deal. He didn't get that, and that 2-year deal that he just signed with Miami, that shortened his lifespan. He's only going to get one more big contract here, and that's it. He won't get another big contract. So I think that's why these two are holding out for him, the biggest deal from whoever, because it's the only big deal he's going to sign.
And I don't want to pigeonhole him like that. Like I said, he's still
do the math.
Very. He does
a 4-year deal. He's 27. He'll be 31. They don't give you big deals at defensive end at 31, dude. They just don't.
What he's got going for him is he's on that upward trajectory. His numbers have increased year after year, except for these past 2. I think he's been at 9, both years. But there's still, like, he's getting more productive the older he gets. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's his prime. Get that little 3-year deal and then hope that you can maximize yourself again with another 3-year contract at the end of this one. But it would be a little surprising to see them let Ogbah go. Mike McDaniel has shown he kind of values the system that Miami had in place last year on defense. It's part of the reason why he kept Josh Boyer after speaking with him pretty thoroughly. Part of the reason why he kept the bulk of that defensive staff minus the secondary coaches. But it would just, you would have to start over. You would have to start over if you're Miami. Yes, you have Jalen Phillips there, but like you have to replace Ogba somehow. So what are you going to replace him with? A rookie? You're going to replace him with another free agent? If you're going to spend money on the position, why not just sign the guy who's been productive for you and galvanize the locker room a little bit? It wouldn't make a lot of sense to me to let him go. Like I said, I was fairly confident that he's back in our 5-can segment last week. So I would expect that to remain the same. And then Gesicki, I'm going to stick to my guns there once again and say he's franchise tagged by the end of the deadline tomorrow.
I think so too. I agree.
Let him play it out. Let him play it out. If he's productive in the system, if he improves as a blocker, and if he is the weapon that they need him to be, and he turns into that, George Kittle type spark for the offense. Not expecting George Kittle numbers, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying here. An effective tight end like Mike McDaniel has always had.
He won't be much of a blocker. You know that. It's just he'll try to get in the way of people. I love the.
That's all blocking is.
They yeah, well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like he's not going to.
You don't have to be a mauler. Look, man, I played wide receiver in high school. I was 5'11" at the time, 165 pounds. I was one of our best blocking wide receivers because I understood I don't need to manhandle and ragdoll you around. I just need you to stop you from getting from point A to point B. That's all you got to do, man. Stay in front of somebody. Now, high school and the NFL levels are obviously way different, but the concept is the same. That's all blocking is staying in front of somebody. And he is athletic and long enough that he should be able to stand in front of somebody and keep them from getting past you. So, but it's all technique and it's coaching, and it's half of blocking is willingness. So we'll see if he just displays the willingness, if there's like some little newfound desire to be better in that regard. Greer and McDaniel seem to think so. We'll see. It doesn't matter. But either way, get your 1 year just as a 1 year audition, as a tryout for the future.
Right. That's what
you're still paid very well.
Yeah. And this is really more about the Dolphins than Gesicki. It's really more about McDaniel going, all right, let me see if I can make him fit in my scheme for a year. And if it works, then we can work on a long-term deal. And if it doesn't, we'll move on. We're friends, and we'll get some compensation from him for something else. And that's it. And you move on from him, and you're fine overall. So I really don't have a problem with this one. Now, on the Ogba front, I threw this out to Alan Poupar earlier. Well, you're at the Combine, and probably the last couple of days you've been talking to X's agent about a deal, right? Because obviously something's going on there, because X is nice and quiet and not saying anything. Last year he was trashing Byron Jones, like, you're paying that guy more than me, that kind of stuff. Like, X has been really cool, so something's going on. So I was just mentioning to Alan, I said, well, what if while you're talking to David Canner, so David, I hear that Demarcus Robinson might be released by the Dallas Cowboys. So what's he going to be looking for? So I'm just wondering that while the Ogba thing is going on, what else are they working on as plan B? Could it be a Demarcus Robinson who supposedly might be released by the Cowboys, who are cap, they're struggling with the cap. By the way, Amari Cooper is another one of those.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be very good at your job in this business if you don't cover your bases. So you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And, that's why, you kind of got to be, if you have to have backup plans, and your backup plans have to have backup plans. And so if DeMarcus Lawrence is available on the open market, then yeah, shoot, why not? You've got $65 million to play with right now before toying around with the guys already on contract. But, I think that a critical element of team building is taking care of your own guys, is drafting, developing, and re-signing your own guys. It is a concept, and I know I bring them up a lot, and it's going to make y'all roll your eyes, but you can't argue with results. It's something that the Bills do a lot of, and that's something that they believed in when they first started that rebuild. And it's not necessarily something that we've seen in Miami. It's been kind of a, instead of draft, develop, re-sign, it's been draft, free agent, dump money, pray that a pick works out. And that's not the case. Like, I think you've got to, this year, you do have players that you have drafted and you have developed who are deserving of extensions. Like, X deserves to be taken care of. Andrew Van Ginkel deserves to be taken care of. Christian Wilkins deserves to be taken care of. Emmanuel Ogbah, you didn't draft him, but you damn sure developed him. He deserves to be taken care of. Like, I think it sets a precedent and it sets a tone in the locker room that if you come in, you handle business, you go to work, that it's not going to be lost on the guys who make decisions. But if you come in, you do your job, and the front office still goes out and sells $20-some-odd million for guys outside of the locker room to come in, sometimes that works out. A lot of times that causes dissent in the locker room right off the bat, because Brandon Beane used to tell me, I don't like bringing in a free agent and making him the highest paid player on the team.
Oh yeah, no,
I think it sets the wrong example. So you want to be careful with that this offseason. You want to make sure that your guys are the highest paid players, not DeMarcus Lawrence, not Von Miller, not any of these Amari Cooper. These are all great names to add to the mix. They'd be awesome in aqua and orange, but you have to take care of your own first, especially new coach. And kind of I don't know if last leg GM is the proper way to put it, but a GM who he's got to start winning. Yeah, like that sends the wrong message to bring in too many big money guys.
The only reason I bring up like just an example. I'm just fishing, by the way. There's nothing to the DeMarcus Lawrence thing. I'm not saying that that's what the Dolphins are doing, but Ogbah has outplayed DeMarcus Lawrence the last 2 years, like by far. And Lawrence has not lived up to the contract that he has signed with the Cowboys. So, and he's 29, I think, something like that, or 30. So you're going to sign him to a short deal, which is what they love doing. And so you just wonder, are they looking at it like, okay, this is another underachiever that we can get to achieve again, and we can get him cheap because he hasn't performed at a high level the last 2 years, and he just got paid by Dallas. You know what I mean? So I'm just wondering if there's another under-the-radar type guy that they think out there that they can bring in and elevate again or something like that. Because if you're at least allowing him to test the market, Marcel, then that tells me you're pretty comfortable with plan B being in free agency or, of course, in the draft, which you were at the Combine. I'm sure you found out this is actually a pretty good draft for defensive ends for several rounds.
It is, but my issue with that, with going the rookie route, and it's the same reason why I don't think that the Dolphins should draft an offensive lineman high, is Greer said it himself. He doesn't see this as a rebuild anymore.
Amen.
He doesn't see this as a rebuild. You were a game out of the playoffs last year. You just paid a coach $30 million to come here and take you to the next level. You're not rebuilding. So, like, getting rid of or losing on Ogbah and bringing in a rookie instead, that's a step backwards. In my mind, that's a step backwards. That's not a step toward the playoffs. That's a step toward the future.
You don't have time to wait. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So I think, and again, it would be a misstep, and I will write it as such. And if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. If I'm right, I'm not going to brag, but I will write it. It's a misstep if they let Emmanuel Ogbah walk. I think that it's just a respectful side of the business or understanding of the business that you want to test your value. I want to see what I'm worth. I might not necessarily want to leave Miami, but I want to see what other teams are willing to pay me, so that if Miami's trying to get funny with the change, I could tell them, well, hey, Houston wants to pay me 19 a year, or this team wants to pay me whatever a year. Go ahead and raise that number up, big fella, and keep it there. Like, that's just. I think any of us would do the same. Any of us with the opportunity would do the same to maximize what our earning potential is. So, I don't think that it's personal. I don't think it's, that the two sides are contentious at all. I think it sounded like a typical negotiation. They couldn't agree on a number in season, despite having conversations. They couldn't agree on a number. So they're going to go find one. And, you'll be surprised how quickly that these things get done once new information is added into the mix.
Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. Catch his work on ESPN, of course, and then catch him here twice a week, living on the edge with our Edge energy drink, Miami Dolphins Insider Report. Marcel, as always, my brother, I appreciate you. We will catch you later in the week, my friend. Thank you.
Yes, sir. See you Thursday.
You got it. There you go. Marcel getting it done for us right here on the program. Give me that edge. Yeah.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.